if history's any guide, the next bull market in cryptos is coming, and those who are properly positioned ahead of time could again earn a fortune.
Are you tired of overpaying for your gold, silver, and platinum bullion coins and bars? Then visit sdbullion.com today. SD Bullion was recently named the 177th fastest growing company in the United States by Inc. magazine. This is because they offer the absolute lowest prices in the industry and follow up with over-the-top customer service. So what are you waiting for? Go to sdbullion.com today and join more than 60,000 happy investors that save money on every precious metals purchase they make.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah Johnson with silverdoctors.com, and back with us today is Jerry Robinson, host of Follow the Money Radio, found on followthemoney.com. Jerry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you, Elijah. I always enjoy being on your program.
All right. Now, I'd first like to discuss gold because your profit tracker trend trading system is actually showing a bullish sign for gold right now. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we use our profit tracker system to identify new uptrends and new downtrends in the market. And you can find out all about our system on our website. But the system itself calls new uptrends and new downtrends in anything. I mean, any U.S.-based stock, any U.S.-based ETF, and then as well as international stocks, international based, pretty much any country, and then any commodity, any currency, any cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter. You can type it into our system, and then it tells you, is that particular asset entering a new uptrend? Is it entering a new downtrend? Is it in an uptrend? Is it in a down? So it's really powerful. And our system gave us a new position, what we call a position uptrend. There's three different kinds of uptrends. There's a long-term uptrend, which is based upon the monthly chart. There is a position uptrend. That's good for position traders who maybe hold for a period of weeks to months, and that occurs on the weekly chart. And then we also have a swing trend, and that's for swing traders who want to, maybe hold a stock for maybe just a few days, maybe just a few weeks. And so each of these trends you can be alerted to in our system. And gold formed a brand new position uptrend within our profit tracker system back on December 7th. And since that time, gold has done fairly well. It pierced through its 200-day moving average in the middle of December of 2018, and it's quite good to see that gold has been responding to all of this volatility, because gold, as you well know, had been hovering below that 1350 resistance now for some time. We really kind of bottomed out in the middle of August on gold at around 1160 or so, somewhere in there. And since that time, we've really seen a nice rise, elevation in the gold price. Right now, of course, we're recording this on the 8th of January, which shout out to, by the way, Elvis Presley. This is his birthday. He would be 82 years old. Total side note. But as we look at the chart, what we see is the fact that we are running up against about 1,300 to 1,310 resistance on gold. And so we'll see if we can smash through that. We would like to see gold go higher, but as trend traders, we don't make those calls. I mean, I'm not smart enough to know, if gold's going to be higher tomorrow or the next day, but it certainly is in a position uptrend, and we're excited about it moving into the most major uptrend we can call, which is a long-term uptrend. And so we're getting closer and closer to that happening. In fact, the only long-term uptrend that we have on any of the metals right now is palladium. And palladium has been in a rip-roaring long-term uptrend since 2016. We told all of our members back in July, actually on July 15, 2016, that palladium had entered a new long-term uptrend. And, just since that time, I'm looking at the performance now. It's up 103%. Palladium has just been on fire. It's been unbelievable. Silver has been languishing. Gold has been languishing during that same time. But palladium, gold, and silver, all in position uptrends on the weekly chart, and they're all looking fairly decent. Silver's also fairly attractive here.
Definitely. Now, with respect to trading, What is your perspective when it comes to precious metals? Because a lot of people listening are probably investing in precious metals for the long haul. So how do you balance that between, catching the trend when it's an uptrend or a downtrend and investing for insurance purposes?
That's a great question. In fact, I was just looking at my own personal holdings. At the beginning of every year, I like to sit down and take a look. Where are we at? How much do we have in precious metals? How much do we have in real estate? How much do we have in stocks? How much do we have in cryptos and all of that? And I like to balance all of that out and kind of keep it balanced as we go forward. Because as you know, I wrote a book called Bankruptcy of Our Nation. I'm of the belief, Elijah, that we are going to see in our lifetimes something greater than what we saw in 2008, a crash greater than 1929. And that is because the Fed just keeps blowing bubbles. And I know some people say, well, that's an old message. People always say that. That's not going to happen. You just got to invest for the long term like Warren Buffett. I get that. I totally get that. But when you take the debt levels that we see today, it's just simply unsustainable. So we know that if something cannot continue, it will not continue. And that's the case with our present system. So for that reason, I own gold, I own silver as a hedge against these poor monetary policies that will eventually burst the bubble that it has blown. And we'll have another big bust. And in that case, I expect gold and silver to be, the primary beneficiaries of that. And so I believe that when you look at your investments or you look at your total assets, you should think in terms of, what do I want to have in the form of investments? Because investing is not trading. What do I want to have in the form of investments? And then what do I want to have in the form of, trading capital? And I always segregate the two. So, when I take a look at all the money that I have to be able to put into stocks or ETFs or, gold and silver, what I do is I divide it up. And I say, okay, well, this is how much I want to have for the long haul. Like I have core holdings in silver and gold that I'm not going to sell. It doesn't matter what the trend says. I'm just not going to sell it because that's my core holding. So I'm always going to have that. But on top of that, I like gold and silver. I follow gold and silver. And because I pay attention to gold and silver, I might as well ride the waves whenever they come. And so because of that, because I don't want to waste my knowledge on gold and silver, I want to actually use it for my own benefit, for the benefit of my family, for the benefit of for my capital. Then what I'll do is I'll add trading exposure to gold and silver whenever I get a new uptrend. Trend trading is a lot like riding a wave. I know surfers, a few surfers, and they will travel all over the world looking for the best wave. That's what they want. And a surfer without a wave is not a surfer. He needs a wave. It'd be ridiculous if you saw a surfer out on a calm ocean. There's nothing to do. And so he needs a wave. And that's the same thing with the trend trader. So whenever I see a new uptrend forming in gold or a new uptrend in silver, I'm right there on top of it. I want to be in that, and I want to add my exposure with my trading capital to those uptrends. And then when it forms a new downtrend, Elijah, it doesn't mean that I'm going to sell my core holdings in gold and silver, but I am going to sell those trading positions that I had to lock in the gain. And so that's how we trade. And trading, of course, is very different than investing. Two very different mindsets. Investing has its own value. For example, if you had invested, for example, let's just go back, totally change the topic here just for a minute. But just imagine if you had gone back 10 years ago today, and you had taken $10,000 and you had put it in something like Netflix. Somebody says Netflix. What about Netflix? Well, Netflix, since over the last 10 years, if you had put $10,000 into it and did not sell and did not, trade it, you just held it, you're up to $652,000. Now, that's a nice ride for 10 years, right? That's a really nice run for $10,000 that you could have put into Netflix 10 years ago. But that's investing, and it doesn't always work out that way. Some people put some money, into some stocks, that actually didn't perform that well. You've been better off just, maybe holding cash. There's been a lot of things that have gone down during that time period that you would want to have wanted to have avoided. But so investing is different. And if you can find those things that are going to go up over time and you want to sit on those and hold them, I think that's perfect for your investment portfolio. But a lot of things are not good for investing. And a lot of times they just don't go up over time, or they do. It's just not very good. And you can get a better return by trading. And so that's why we separate the two in our minds. That's why we segregate our capital. Part of it goes to investing, part of it goes to trading, but we do have a core holding in silver, core holding in gold. We will not sell, our core holdings because we believe in the long-term story of gold and silver. We believe in the end, paper assets will, they'll burn up compared, relatively speaking, to the sustainability and the long-term view that many people have towards the ultimate money, that is gold and silver.
Now, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, kind of on the topic of trading versus investing, what is your approach there?
So cryptocurrencies are another area that you can certainly trade. And I think in this environment, it makes total sense perhaps to be trading cryptocurrencies. However, we also have a kind of a dual situation there where we have core holdings and we share those with our members. And we have called some really big uptrends in cryptocurrencies. We started buying and accumulating Bitcoin back in 2013. We rode the massive bull market there. By the way, in 2014, the market crashed and everybody ran away from the crypto space. And we saw it and we held on. And then we saw something similar happen in 2017. There was another big, massive crypto bull market that arrived, and we were able to trade, but also invest in that. And then it got smashed to pieces again in 2018. In fact, so far in 2018, the crypto space has lost about 80% of its values since the 2017 bull run. And so it's not hard to understand why cryptocurrency investors who began buying this year or actually last year now in 2018, they kind of feel like they missed out on the big bull market. And they did miss out on a big bull market, but in truth, they only missed out on the last bull market. If history's any guide, the next bull market in cryptos is coming, and those who are properly positioned ahead of time could again earn a fortune. I mean, there were many, many people who made an incredible amount of money on the last cryptocurrency bull run. And we believe, again, that we're going to see another one. Now, as far as cryptocurrencies go, we've had kind of a principle that we've applied since the very beginning. When we first started buying cryptocurrencies in 2013, and we started telling all of our members that we were buying cryptocurrencies and which ones, we said, look, we're going to take 5% of our total investable assets. So if we have $10,000 to invest, we're going to take 5% of that. What would that be? That would be 5%. Would be about $500 of 10,000. And we're going to take that and we're going to put it into cryptocurrencies. Not 50%, right? We're not going to risk the whole farm. We're not going to bet the farm on cryptocurrencies, but we believe that cryptocurrencies are an up and coming technology based upon the blockchain. And we want to have exposure to this space, but we don't want to be over leveraged in the space. And by the way, 5% of our total investable capital since 2013 has actually been it's outperformed many of the other asset classes we could have invested in because the prices have appreciated so much. It's even funny. I was looking at one of the cryptocurrencies we called back in 2017, one little one called Tron TRX, which is really quite an astonishing little cryptocurrency. We called it whenever the cryptocurrency was trading for about 0.002 cents. So it wasn't even a penny. It was like, a fifth of a penny. And we alerted all of our members and said, this one looks pretty attractive. It's a really attractive coin. I mean, it's very speculative, and from that point, Tron went up in December of 2017 from that 0.002 cents all the way up to like 25 cents. I mean, it was like this incredible return that was just simply, you couldn't get it in the stock market. You couldn't get those kinds of returns from precious metals. It was just impossible. So you have to look, outside, maybe sometimes even of your comfort zone, if you're looking to cash in on some of these different trends. But that's the beauty of trend trading, is that there's always a wave somewhere. The surfer can always find a wave somewhere. He may have to travel the world, but he'll find it. Same way with trend trading. So we have our core investments we're locked into. We're not going to sell, for the long haul. But then when it comes to trading, hey, we're looking for that next wave. And that's what we do. We alert our members to the next wave. Hey, you want to know what the next big rally is? Our system, that's what it's designed to do. And we've had really good success with that. So Tron right now, I just brought that up. Tron is actually a really impressive little coin. We own quite a bit. We took a pretty substantial position in Tron back in 2017. And we've seen that coin just really make a lot of developments over time. And it's trading right now for about 2.5 cents, I think, roughly. Over time, we see that one going up, and we see many of the other ones going up too, because as demand rises and also as speculators return to this market, we're going to see another big run. So I think right now there's a lot of fear in the market. There's a lot of blood in the water, if you will. And so that means that right now is the perfect time for accumulation for the next big bull run in cryptocurrencies. I know it's boring. I know people don't want to talk about it. I know people are fleeing from it. I know people are saying it can't happen again. Well, that's exactly when you want, to take a small position and, begin preparing for a potential rally. So, and of course, with our system, our trend trading system, we're able to kind of identify, when those new uptrends begin.
No, when people look just at the chart of Bitcoin, it is a bit intimidating when people see, it went to, almost 20,000 or, on some exchanges, 20,000. And then now it's like 3,000 or 4,000. And it might be like, you missed the boat. But what is your perspective on that?
Well, I think it all depends on what your entry price. I mean, if you got into to Bitcoin at 20,000, you're hurting right now. I mean, you're thinking, well, cryptos are over. I mean, you're thinking this is terrible because I have to get back to 20,000 in Bitcoin just to be able to break even. And so, that's the benefit, I think, of trend trading, is that you can actually, identify when a trend begins and then maybe take a position there, but then not buy with the herd. I mean, when everybody and their cousin and their brother and their dog are buying, I mean, that's typically where you would sell. So we've seen this story before in Bitcoin. We've seen the rally. We've seen the devastating crash. And I think it's also interesting, too, is your time horizon and your entry price. I mean, we started buying Bitcoin back in 2013. And I remember, kind of dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin when it was, less than 200. I remember buying it at 150. I remember buying it at 250. I remember buying it lower than that even when we first started. And so when you say $4,000, Bitcoin's 4,000, that makes me happy. But to somebody who bought at 6,000 or 8,000 or 10,000, they're throwing in the towel. So I guess it really depends on when you get in. And I think right now, we're in this sideways grind with Bitcoin where we could be warming up for another rally. Who knows? I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone next year. But I do know that we will see very likely another major bull market strike cryptos. And it's the people who are looking for the high quality cryptocurrencies right now that are going to be the ones who make money. And you say, well, how do you find those? I mean, how do you identify a cryptocurrency that's going to go up? Well, I'll tell you what we do. We look for who's running the project. Ultimately, a cryptocurrency's future potential rises or falls based upon the leadership, based upon the management, based upon the development teams in particular. So we do a deep dive both into the credentials and the experience of each of these teams, as the leadership and management teams have past experience in whatever they're currently trying to accomplish. How broad is their global network? We make sure there's a clear vision for the future. So many blockchain projects that are vying for your investment capital are just trash. I mean, you can afford to be choosy. You don't have to just buy whatever's cheap. So you want to examine the cryptocurrency's roadmap. You want to see its previous updates. You want to see its previous upgrades, understand its future plans. How has it fared in meeting its previous goals? You want to find out if the development community is happy and healthy because the future popularity of a cryptocurrency is largely going to be determined by the success of its customer-facing apps. This is something that's powerful, Elijah. Right now, you and I are thinking in terms of, well, is Bitcoin or Ethereum or Ripple or which coin? But in the end, this is so early because when we go out 10 years, what if we could transport ourselves out to 2030? We don't have a crystal ball, but what if we could just kind of extrapolate? What if we could think and say, transport ourselves out to 2030 and say, what brand, what apps are people going to be using on the blockchain? And what apps or what coins or tokens are those apps being run on? And I think whoever wins with the brand loyalty and develops the customer-facing apps is going to be one of the biggest winners in the cryptocurrency space. But that's the point of being an investor is you look and you try to find out, what brand is going to succeed. Because 10 years from now, Elijah, you and I will know cryptocurrency applications. We don't really know them now, but we're going to know them. And if you can invest in those now, boy howdy, could you have a nice payday from that? And either way, you have that $1,000 sitting there in your bank, or maybe you don't, maybe you do. You could have it in something that's going to go up over that time, or you could have it, sitting in the bank collecting no interest, and wondering why everybody else is doing well and you're not.
All right. Well, Jerry Robinson, thank you so much for your insights today and for coming on the show. Before we let you go, did you want to share with the viewers where they can find you and any last thoughts you had?
Well, I want to encourage them to this is a brand new year and it's a perfect time for them to, set goals for themselves. My wife and I, we sat down at the beginning of every year and we sit down and we say, what are our goals? What do we want to accomplish? What do we want to do for our children? What do we want to do financially? And not just financial, we have spiritual goals. We have other goals, but this show is about, finance. So we're talking about finance, and I would just encourage those listening to, really expand their horizons, really think outside the box. And if they want some help in that, they can always come to our website, followthemoney.com. We have a free podcast there. We also have a free membership. They can sign up as a free member and get access to our weekly newsletter. We put out the Robinson Report. We always put out a new trading idea every week for all of our free bronze members. But you can also look at our paid memberships where we have access to a lot of really cool services. So anything you've heard today, if you want to dig deeper, just go to followthemoney.com and check out our plans and pricing and maybe even start as a free member. We'd love to have you.
All right. Once again, Jerry, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Elijah.